Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township. You know, those government entities that make laws and regulations that affect you out there.
That's right. And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Oxford Township, or Addison Township, these are the people that you elected, and the commissions and the committees that make decisions that directly affect you, whether you chose to go to that important meeting or not. And that's why we're here.
Yeah, partly. And we're here also to spread rumors.
Rumors?
Mostly him.
Hey, wait a minute.
And we also dig for humor.
Yuma.
Do we have to dig very deep for that?
Sometimes it's on top, sometimes it's on the bottom.
But it bubbles to the top and we capture it right there, don't we?
Just the cream.
All right. Well, let's talk about a couple of meetings that came up, and they're both pretty lively meetings, and they ran for some length of time, too.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, that would be the Oxford Village Council meeting and also the Oxford Township Board of Trustees. Let's go back to the Oxford Village Council. Of course, Sue Bassarded is the chairperson. Tom Kinnis is on that board along with Maureen Helmuth, Rose Bima, and Eric Dolan,
Okay.
one of the newest members. And by the way, the election for that's coming up in November for you folks, so don't forget November 8th.
Now, when they get elected in November, will they immediately take office, or do they have to wait till January?
Now, we were discussing this a little bit earlier, and it seems like the village at the next meeting, you know, after the election, they would have it. I think in the township, probably you won't be seated until January, more than likely.
So they'll have to bide their time.
They'll have to bide their time. And, you know, this could be
Heir
just...
appearance.
Yeah, and this could be one of those rumors I talked about, by the way.
Are you an
Right?
heir apparent?
Excuse me, could be.
Oh, well then.
Okay. First thing they did, of course, Pledge of Allegiance. Then they said there's no presentations or public hearings. So that shortened it up, you
Oh,
would
well
think,
then.
wouldn't you? Not so. Wait till I tell you more. Call to the public, non-agenda items. Dave Gerber, who is well known in the community, is a minister in the community, and I think he works with the police department real close.
Like a chaplain?
Like
or
a
what?
chaplain, yes. And he was kind of looking for information as to why the 911 dispatch is going to the county rather than having it locally here. And obviously he has, he pointed out his self-interest in knowing why, and he thought it should remain here.
I thought that train was warming up and left a while ago.
Oh, that train, you can see the, yeah, you can actually see the smokestack from the train way down the track at this time. So it's going to be converted, you know, by going to the Oakland County 911 dispatch.
And also it leaves Lake Orion with a decision to make also.
Yes, and a little bit further down the line, one of the things they have is a ad hoc committee that's involved with closing down that 911 for the village, and also closing out the contracts that are existent with both the union and with Lake Orion, as you pointed out.
So will they have excess equipment?
They will have equipment that they more likely will put up for sale for communities that do have their own dispatch.
Okay.
So I think there's a market for that out there. Probably will we ever receive the money that they paid? Probably not, but will they get maybe...
They had a good record on that, considering the property on Glassby Street.
Yes, they did. Okay, that's true. Yeah, you're exactly right with that one. But anyway, so he was answered in such a way that you know, he said, I don't understand why it wasn't put out on the ballot, you know. Well, there's reasons. We know through history, and I was on the board when that happened, but there were 3 members on the board that outnumbered me, who decided that it would not be on the ballot, that these other members said that it's the responsibility of the council to make that decision and not the residents. And my complaint was the same as Mr. Gerber that brought up that if you sell property with a certain value on it, with big numbers on it, why wouldn't you bring this forward, you know, as well? I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Gerber.
Property is one thing, services are another.
Yep, and we attempted to get that, but it was pointed out that they're elected officials. They therefore will make the decision for you out there. This is the humor I was talking about.
When they made the decision about the contract for waste management, not the company, but the management of waste,
right?
They didn't put that up to a vote of the people, did they?
No, they did not.
So this is another service.
They had public hearings for that.
Okay.
And so
As they did with,
they did for this, but there's some question about the number of public hearings they had, and I think, that was brought up as well. I think the gentleman's position was well taken. It seems like the village residents should have voted on this, but that decision, as was pointed out a few years back, is the decision for the council to make, and they made it back then that they weren't going to do it, and now they decided that financially they need to make this move.
of course, they're always on the crux of deciding what's popular and deciding what's right.
Right. Well, the difference here is, of course, with the 911 issue is that the expense to you, the residents out there in the community in the village, we're paying roughly about $329,000, $330,000 per year, as opposed to roughly $30,000 per year through Oakland County. Let me see. Let's weigh this. Okay.
Weigh it.
Let's do it. And went plump. I saw it. I saw it go plump. And that's what they did. And so the charge was led on that, and people stood up and they said, hey, we can't afford to do this. It's a frivolous amount of money that we're spending now, and it's duplicate.
And they need the money.
They need the money. Yep. So that being said, they said, are there any bills? Talking about money.
Okay.
Yes, there are bills. The bill is $168,311.43, and it was approved.
Okay.
Okay, and of course we discussed this before, that whenever there's money that's going to be approved, there's budgetary information in front of each of the council members previous to making
And
the
it
vote.
requires a quorum.
It requires a quorum, and there was, and of course a voice vote on that.
All right.
So, unfinished business. Ad hoc was a transition process for 911. Bob Davis, the attorney, is on that board. The termination letter was submitted to Lake Orion, so they've been notified. Meeting with the county staff also to do the transition over to the county has been done, and it was well received. Almost didn't get that out.
Is there a timeline?
No, just as quickly as they can do it.
ASAP.
ASAP, and if it runs smooth, which it's been running smooth so far, I don't think it'll be long, and the transition will be there. You folks won't even see a major change in transition at all, with 911. So, okay, they're doing a good job on that. Village manager Joe Young, he said that he compiled information for staffing requirements. So when 911 does leave, there's going to be required a person at the desk, to still handle phones and things like that, for
For the
village-
police.
For the police. Yep.
Right.
So he said January 2017, the police union will be notified, or they have been notified, and a decision will be made as to their knowledge of what's going to happen, with the union. So.
Relative to
it has an impact.
Relative to transferring dispatch to Oakland
Yes,
County.
exactly.
Okay.
You got it.
How many
Also,
employees are affected anyhow?
they have 7. Oh, you mean as far as dispatch?
Yeah.
I believe there's 3, and then there's some volunteers.
Would the regular employees be transferred into the Oakland County
Well,
system?
that is the suggestion from the county, is that they will have these individuals take the test. If they pass the requirements, then they need people.
Okay.
So that would be a good thing. And that's one of the concerns that the council had, is that these people just not be left out in the cold, that there be jobs, available for them.
I'm sure the police union has that concern too.
Well, I'm sure they do. Yep. And with that, we'll be back right after this, folks.
Do you love local sports? Whether it's Oxford High School or Parks and Rec, you can buy copies of each game. To purchase your copy, call us at 248-628-9658 or give us an email at manager@occtv.org or talk to us at the next game. Hopefully we'll see you there. There's a lot of history to Oxford. Hidden around every corner, deep in every crack, and sometimes right in front of you, waiting to be discovered. If you just dig a little, you'll find the great history of our beautiful town. Welcome to Historic Oxford.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the Oxford Village Council and what's going on over there. And we just got through with the 911 issue.
Yes.
Anyway, okay. The next thing that came up was any new business. Well, okay. There's a evening group rental contract renewal for $250.
Evening group?
Yep, that's called evening group.
Okay.
Morning, as opposed to morning group or morning glory.
What do they do?
I don't know, but anyway, they rent room space
Oh, okay.
in the community room. And the amount that is charged to them is $250. And guess what? They said, let's do it again.
Okay.
Okay, so it was done, it was approved. Schedule public hearings. There's a public hearing for rental inspection ordinance that's going to be coming up, which requires registration and inspection of rental homes. And landlords, have to fill out a form to let them know that they have rentals there. So from a safety standpoint, they have to bring that home up to code.
And be inspected.
And be inspected, yep. So that, they're going to have that.
Is this for new entries into the system
No.
or for existing?
For existing also. There is no such thing as a grandfather out there on this. And I don't know if you're aware, but actually the state courts and federal courts rule that, grandfather clauses don't hold up,
Except
Did
if
you
you're
know
a
that?
grandfather.
Except if you're a grandfather. That would be us.
Right.
Okay. Hey, look at that. Just when you get it working the way it should, it's about ready to keel over. But anyway, that's the way it works. And they said that one of the things that they're interested in also is a ordinance controlling the mowing and enforcement law for mowing and keeping grass and that kind of thing. You folks, your next door neighbor has grass up to here. Well, guess what? First time they're notified, there's a $100 fine if they don't concur, getting it taken care of. And second time if they're notified, the grass is getting higher, it would be a $200
I
fine.
seem to remember sometime in the past that someone submitted a 3-year plan for a resolution of that.
Yeah, right, could be. But $300 is the final offense, and then I think they come with a match and they just burn it down. I'm not sure. This is a rumor, but the fire chief wouldn't like that idea either. But anyway, so...
Bring a brush hog in. My daisies.
Oh, and get this, they got to pay for administrative costs, and the person mowing, and the gas for the mower. So there's
Wow.
extra charges on top of that. You could be mortgaging your home if you don't mow your grass.
Talk about a markup.
Yeah, could be. But anyway, both of these subjects are going to be brought up for ordinance review and possible agreement on September 13th. Hey, all you folks that are superstitious and are runners of property and let your grass grow, can you say 13? September 13th.
Did they say how much a penalty there would be?
A penalty for what?
Not mowing your lawn?
Yeah,
Oh, dollars.
$300
$300.
on the third offense. I just
Wow.
named that. Were you listening? You weren't
I was.
listening.
I was thinking of something else.
You weren't listening.
But they have an alternative. They
What
could
is
use that $300 and buy a lawnmower.
Yeah, right, they could. Or pay a kid, to mow it for much
That's
less.
That's true.
Right?
Under
That's
the
right.
counter.
The kids out there looking for jobs. I was one once. You too.
I was.
Right. Okay. Now we is.
Vaguely remember that.
All right. So anyway, so they also appointed what they call ad hoc committees. Now this is an interesting thing for the council. First time this has ever been done, even though it's been suggested in the past. They have an excess amount of water reserve. They're not using. As a matter of fact, they're talking about raising water rates.
Well, they said,
Excuse me?
Oxford sits on one of the best water systems underground in the state.
Right, but one of the problems is that, excuse me, they're using less water than they did before. So,
Why?
well, that's a good question. Why? People are maybe moving, maybe, I don't know. But anyways, they're using their less water, so the rest of you residents out there have to pay for the slack in order to pay the expenses for the water system. And so, how is that going to be done?
Same machines, less water.
Right. Well, Eric Dolan, council member, he says, we're not going to settle for raising water rates because they were just raised 2 years ago. We're going to find another alternative to do this. So they put together, the
Wells.
complete council agreed to have these ad hoc committees. One is for water bottling, yeah, new day with chewing gum, water bottling plant,
Say that 3 times quickly.
yeah, and so our water is so great, and there's other communities that do entice bottling plants in their community to tap into these resources, and this would be one. And those people on that board would be Rose Bima, Maureen Helmuth, and Susan Nasser. the clerk.
Oh.
Now also, they're going to have a cell tower, looking for cell tower tenants. And those people, they will search for people for the rental. By the way, they can get anywhere from $1,300 to $1,800 per spot on the water tower
Wow.
for these cell phone companies. And there's 5 open spots up there. So that would help a lot. Tom Kennis, Bob Davis, the attorney, and Joe Young.
Who would have said years ago that that would have been the use of a water tower?
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, not only do you use water in it, and they use the outside of it. That's good thinking. Joe Young, village manager, be on that board also. Economic development. Now, this is a neat one because you bring business into the area. We have certain storefronts that are open, in town. We have other properties that could be used.
Now, this is the village, right?
This is the village.
Don't they have a DDA?
They do have a DDA, and they're searching for this as well, and they're actually linked with the township,
Okay.
on their website. So, you folks that are interested in purchasing property out there, or leasing, or whatever for business purposes, you can contact the village or the township, depending on where you want to be. The township has a pretty good handle on it, and the DDA. Anyway, the economic development consists of Sue Bassardit, the chairperson for the council, Eric Dolan, Joe Frost, Joe Young. By the way, Joe Frost, of course, is the director of the DDA. We just mentioned that. Joe Young is the village manager,
But
and he's
wouldn't-
going to be on it.
Wouldn't
And Chris
that
Corey.
be sort of redundant with the DDA?
No, actually, it's a dedicated resource they're setting up here to actually aggressively go after what business there might be that want to move into this area.
Oh.
Others say, well, today is today. We'll check on it tomorrow.
So these people
They're
are going
saying
to knock
today
on
is here.
doors.
They're going to knock on doors. They are. And Chris Corey, from McKenna and Associates, will also serve on that board. So a lot of pretty aggressive and knowledgeable people on that board. We'll see how that works out in the future.
Okie dokie.
Water and sewer. Again, they talked about some businesses complained that they don't get a summer credit, whereas villagers do. People that are residential people, but not the businesses. And so they don't think it's fair, and they think that they should have the ability to get the same discount for the 3-month period as a credit in the summertime. Well, Sue Bassardit says that she does not think that businesses should require an extra meter, because they talked about meters going in there and gauging out how much water the businesses actually use. And she doesn't feel that it's fair to do
Why
that.
would they need an extra meter?
Well, actually an extra meter, they've got 1 meter, but the extra meter that they would put in for additional water usage would actually save the village more money over a period of time. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? If they go to the meter. But the meter costs $250 roughly to install. So Sue
Is it an
Bassardit,
extra meter or a meter that's more advanced and replaces the old one?
it would be an upgraded version. Is that what you're looking for?
And they'd get rid of the old meter.
I think that's the answer.
So it's not an extra
Upgraded
meter.
version.
So it's not an extra meter.
We'll call it an extra meter, upgraded version. That's what it's going to be. Anyway, I agree with you. What did you say?
What?
I knew it.
You're not going to have 2 meters. You're going to have 1 meter in the end.
You think?
Right.
Okay. If you say so, I agree. Okay.
I do.
Okay. So anyway, Sue says no. Says
No.
that everybody should be treated the same. Eric Dolan says he believes that the business and residents should be treated the same as well. So what did they do with it? Set it
Tabled it.
aside. That's what we're going to do right now when we come back right after this. Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kennedy.
And we are talking about the Oxford Village Council meeting, and right now we're going to go to the Oxford Township Board of Trustees meeting.
Aha!
Lots of things going on there. First of all, an award was given out to roughly, I think there's 15 volunteers that actually came in from Dearborn, Madison Heights, White Lake, and Rochester. And they provided over 400 hours of voluntary time to the Seymour Lake Festival, which is pretty neat. So Ron Davis spoke.
That was a bang-up festival.
Yes, Ron Davis and his crew did a fantastic job. And he'll tell you right off, it was the volunteers that did it all, because that's the kind of guy they are and the kind of organization they are. And because those volunteers did dig in, they received an award or a plaque from Ron Davis, actually from the president of the Parks and Recreation. I bet you didn't know that they have a regular board. They have a president that sits on that board, right?
I do.
Oh, okay. Do you know who the president is?
Used to. Don't anymore.
Don't anymore? Okay.
Who is it?
Casanone.
Who?
C-A-S, Casanone. His first name is Phil. Hi, Phil.
Castelloni.
Yeah,
Okay.
Castelloni. And so he actually made the presentation. Next, they wanted comments, not on the agenda. And Ken LaPlace, who's
He used to be the manager.
used to be the manager, yep. And his contract was not renewed after only a year on the job here. And he said that it should be, OCTV should be privatized. Ooh. Ooh. And that's what you heard. Oof. Anyway, and he said,
Head snapped and eyes
get
turned.
this, there's more. He says because there's no community support,
What?
and nobody's watching it,
What?
and we're spending too much money. Okay. Then he rambled on. I don't know. He rambled for quite a while. But
Yeah.
actually, Bill Dunn, who's the chair, actually tolerated the whole rambling.
Yeah, your 5
And
minutes
finally
of
cut
fame.
him off.
Your 5 minutes of fame is up.
Right. And the next thing, Terry Stiles, who's the producer, executive director here, she spoke. Bill Service, who's the station manager, is out sick, so was unable to attend this meeting. We're thinking of you, Bill. And Terry did a great job, though, of making the presentation. And
You just promoted Terry.
no, she's been promoted. But LaPlante wanted to leave, and he tried to scream to get out of the door, shimmy on out. But Bill Dunn says, "Where are you going?" He said, "You coward, come back here."
Yikes.
He said, "Okay." So he came back obediently, and he sat down. And
Those are the meetings that are really exciting for the person that's taking the video.
it is really exciting. So anyway, we did get video on it too, by the way. And you go to occtv.org.
Click on programs.
And you can right away see the thumbprint and go for it and check it out and see the actual activity that went on. But anyway, Terry Stiles, she pointed out the fact that, we have no one watching us. It's only tripled since the previous manager has left and Bill Service took over. And also that the viewership is obviously up, no question about it. Intern training is also ongoing and continues to, do well. Matter of fact, there were a couple of volunteers that were there that spoke, before the board, and said, that we're volunteers. What are we, chopped liver?
As a matter of fact, one of the interns who's now a regular employee was actually doing the video.
She was, yep. And I think she's going to graduate from college in the next month from
Really?
the internship.
Good, good.
Yep. So anyway, and of course, Terry pointed out that people have been educated here, and they've gone on to major television stations.
That's
I
right.
mentioned one.
Andy,
And
out in Montana?
yep, and he's in Minnesota now, though.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he moved to Minnesota, I understand.
And Mr. Goodell, who's working for one of the stations down in Detroit?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So training.
We knew
works
them
out here.
when.
Yeah, we knew them when. Yeah. Don't forget the little people. DVD sales are up. They make thousands of dollars on DVDs now.
Yes.
Special scholarship DVDs we produce, for kids that want scholarships to go to college and present it as a.
That gives them a real foot in the door.
It does. And of course, there are a number of programs that are doing fantastic. One is My Life by John Ochins.
Oh, he does a terrific job on that.
And actually is up for an award, national award coming up.
Philo.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. And there's lots of other programs called Minutes by Minute. That would be us. Okay. And of course the news with Terry Stiles and myself. And there's a lot of others.
Me.
Yeah, there's you. Yeah.
Me.
What is your program, by the way?
I do 2 programs, actually. One's called Auto Talk and one's called Science in the News.
Yeah. And you know what? You got to watch this guy in action. I don't know how he does these tongue twisters all through the scientific programs, but he does it, and he does it very well. So tune in. I just watched to see if he's going to make a mistake, but he hasn't made one yet. So, yeah, you're long overdue.
4th take, Dave. Get it right this time.
Take. Yep. So anyway, John Ochins, excuse me, actually stood up and he spoke on behalf of the station, and in many programs that he's worked with, and he's been involved in production and editing, that kind of thing, and providing programs for you folks out there. My program, or what I stood up and I talked about the technical end of it, and that's what I do here with the new equipment updating and so forth. Rod Wright, who is one of our sports broadcasters, fantastic broadcaster and just doing a terrific job out there.
Yeah.
Commented on the kids and how much fun it is to work with them, you know, in
Yeah,
sports.
Rod had his heart on his sleeve out there.
He did. Don Medley, who works for Parks and Recs, just happened to be there because of the award. He didn't have any idea, you know, they were going to talk about OCTV, but she spoke about how great OCTV is and how it provide, you know, video and that kind of thing for college, and as well as doing the sports programs.
I think
Excuse me.
basically we're a great community asset.
Yep. And Connie Miller, who does Connie's Kitchen, jumped up and she says, "Hey, no volunteers, huh? I'm a volunteer." She said, and furthermore, we have a lot of other volunteers
We
that
have
work
Pauline
with me.
Bennett out in Addison Township.
Yes,
Great people.
to name a few. Yep, she does a great job out there as well for you Addison people. And us too, because she does programs for us as well.
Absolutely.
Yep. Russell Courier, he spoke that he loves working here, and you know, he is a combination editor, producer, and he does all kinds of things here too, and does a great job. And Ken LaPlante ranted and left the room. So that was the end of the presentation, I guess. But he did scream on his way out that he was going to be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. So apparently he's not finished. Apparently he wants to get together the whole thing. He wants to shoot what you're seeing on production here on cell phones. Now I want to know why major television studios don't shoot with cell phones.
It's a shaky prospect. Let's put it that way.
It might be. I agree. So anyway, it was kind of snake oil, and his wagon was kind of rolling out the door when this all completed. Also, they talked about having a cell phone tower, because in the area where the park's at, within that zone, is a dead zone. And so they've
Been there, done that.
They've been talking about this for a long time, haven't
Hello,
they?
dear. Hello, dear.
Yeah,
Hello,
yeah.
dear.
Is anybody there? Can you hear me now? So anyway, so they've all agreed that they have a company now interested in putting up a tower and paying the township a monthly fee in order to bring it in there. That would be Verizon at this point. So they thought it was a great idea, so they're moving it now to the Planning Commission to review the whole process of doing this.
If only if they could make it look like a tree.
They could probably do that. I don't know. They're pretty talented. But anyway, what's coming up next?
Well, we do have a few, well, sort of. On 8/22, the OICCC meeting was canceled, and it's moved now to September 26th next month. On 8/23, at 6:30, the Oxford Board of Education is going to be meeting at the Crossroads for Youth out on Drainer Road. And on 8/25 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township Planning Commission will be meeting. And on 8/26 at 8 p.m., there's a charity softball game going on with the
Bars
Sheriff's
and
Department.
cars.
Bars and cars.
Yeah.
Sheriff Department.
On the 26th,
deputies,
that
and
is, right?
That's the 20th, 8 p.m.
8 p.m. until 10 or whenever it finishes, who knows?
Whenever that double overtime ends.
But it should be a fun event. It's only $10. What's coming up?
That's
We
it.
know. That's it?
I'm
I'm
done.
Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
We'll catch you right here next time on Minutes by Minute.
All right.